So the world needs science, and science needs women and girls. Women have led groundbreaking research into public health, vaccines, treatment, innovative technology, and been on the front lines of COVID-19 response as scientists, healthcare workers, and more. Yet, the gender gap in science and technology holds women back. While 70% of health and social care workers are women, they are acknowledged less than the male counterparts. And the COVID-19 pandemic is poised to widen the existing gender disparities, especially for the women scientists at the early stages of their career, unless we act deliberately to keep the women in the career pipelines instead. It's more important than ever to recognize women's contribution in science and defeat discrimination against women and girls in science. A warm welcome to you all to the conversation series with the frontline Indian women warriors presented by Vigyan Prasad. With the conversation series, Gender and Technology Communication Program of Vigyan Prasad wishes to reap the opportunity to let the world know the contribution of Indian women scientific community who have been at the forefront in India's war against the global pandemic. Today, we are celebrating the 6th International Day of Women and Girls in Science, initiated by United Nations to laud the women scientists at the forefront of the fight against COVID-19. Vigyan Prasad is organizing this event, and Vigyan Prasar is an autonomous organization of the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, engaged in large-scale science communication, popularization, and extension activities since 1989. We have like to mention that Vigyan Prasad have been alerting and sending words through the COVID bulletin amongst the general public through our India Science channel, ISTI web portal about the approaching dangers in the scientific terms ever since the situations went out of control in back in January 2020. We also have been covering all the science news on the subject through our COVID-19 newsletter to consolidate all the knowledge and the facts regarding this outbreak. The newsletter covers news and developments from the various government and private organizations. We are also engaged in awareness programs and conducted through Vigyan Prasar network of science clubs, community radio, and our various which are shared through our various e-platforms. So today's program is dedicated to all the frontline Indian women warriors. We are honored that some of the representatives of that community are with us today. They will share their experiences, stories, and learning during this critical time. So in this series, the guest we have with us today is Dr. Varsha A. Pottar. Currently, she is a scientist at ICMR National Institute of Virology, Pune, and heading Influenza Group. Her main research area is the molecular evolution of influenza viruses. Recently, I am very proud to share that she got Best Corona Warrior Award and the state of from the state of Maharashtra for the resource person for COVID-19 diagnosis, and Best Testing Laboratory for COVID-19 by Times of India Group on 2nd October 2020. Ma'am, it's really an honor for all of us to have you on this platform, and we got an opportunity to to know about your experiences and story. In that series, we know that you are doing so much research. You have contributed so much in this field during the Corona pandemic. My very first question is that when did you decide that you want to be in science? You want to pursue science as a career?
Thank you, Didi, giving me opportunity to share my experiences. Frankly speaking, I came from a very kind of a village, which is a taluka place actually, uh, from where my actually preliminary education has been done. So when I finished my 10th standard, actually, I think that's the time I realized that I need to go with the like science stream itself. But unfortunately, my all classmates, especially my girl classmates, they all wanted to go for the commerce stream. Especially, I think less known about the faculty or in a taluka place, there was no much kind of guidance available, so everybody was going through the mob mentality kind of thing. But I that time also thought of that, no, I don't want to go for the commerce stream, I wanted to be in science field. I don't know that time whether I will be in research or whether I will do any further other professional courses. But in a, you can imagine in a small village, like if all the people are going for the same stream, even my parents also said, then why you want to go for the science stream, you should go for the commerce stream. But somehow I managed to convince one of my friend that let's go. She also wanted to be in a science field, but maybe hesitated through the mob mentality and the pressure from the home front. So we together then took the admission for the science stream. And I wanted to tell you that this is in 1979 we passed 10th, and at that time actually we both from my village got admission, and we successfully completed our BSc in chemistry. We didn't have any choice further. In our city, that was the college, and we have only science, chemistry as a specialization subject. So I finished that. But then that was my first encounter for the science kind of feeling for the science kind of thing, and I pursued that. I dare to dream for my kind of dreams basically. So further I didn't stop over there against my parents and everyone, because that period, like BSc, after BSc you can have a plenty of opportunity in teaching field mostly. So they were insisting me that no, you should now start working in the schools and sort of thing. But then I still pursued my MSc from Pune University, that is in, again in physical chemistry, and got my first job in National Chemical Laboratory, which is again a prestigious institute in chemistry field. But that time really I realized that what is research is actually, because the project on which I have joined over there, it was on the background of Bhopal tragedy, and the phosgene gas was then banned, and we wanted to develop an alternate methodology to synthesize polycarbonate. So that was my first encounter towards research. And then I learned how to be a part of team, how to pursue the Research means what actually, I just got a few lessons from this my first job. Further, then I got the job in National Institute of Virology. That is also through government employment exchange, which we now people don't believe on all these mechanisms. But yes, I got a job through employment exchange, and it was a technical post, and I didn't know about anything about National Institute of Virology, not a ABCD also. But I joined. With my NCL experience, I guess they have chosen me in the open interview, and then I joined. I then learned because in chemistry you always handle like liters and kilograms quantity in the laboratory, but in the micro labs, then we turn into the microliter, micrograms, and that was a really a big challenge for me to go into the micro scales, and I learned that also hard way with my supervisors. And eventually I completed my PhD from NIV Pune, and my career was started from NIV itself. Then I didn't look back. I further progressed myself. I was trying to be associated with many more activities from NIV, and in 2012 I entered into the scientific cadre. And since then before that, I was a part of first pandemic. Like I was a frontline worker that time also for first pandemic, which was a pandemic H1N1 2009. So entire laboratory component that time I have handled. So I had a bit experience of handling the, like how in a mass scale how the activity has to be conducted. So that gave me a kind of exposure to all these pressurized movements basically. And since then I continued working in an influenza section, became a influenza group leader, and this pandemic I was a frontline person to handle the situation. So that's my beginning to the science actually. Yeah.
That's really a source of encouragement for the lots of young students, women out there who want to pursue their career in the science. They will surely get encouraged by listening the story, by listening your story. The second question, like in tune with the this year's theme, that women scientists in the forefront of COVID, in the forefront of fight against COVID-19. Can you tell to our audience what role you and your team have played in this fight against the pandemic?
Yes, Dr. Nidhi. Actually, as I mentioned, that I'm heading a influenza group, which is a respiratory viral infection. So we have to be always on our toes because respiratory viruses, they spread through aerosol transmission. So influenza is such a important virus. We have to be continuous monitoring for this virus. So again, NIV, if you say NIV is an apex laboratory for ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research. And secondly, it is also like influenza group is a national influenza center for WHO. So this was our primary responsibility to come up quickly with the diagnostic system to recognize this new pandemic virus. And our preparedness started in mid December. I will say we all scientists like medico team and laboratory team sat together. We went to the literature available that time, and we came up with the our own guidelines, which were then submitted to ICMR and through ICMR to whole nation basically. So we prepared the which are case reference forms basically we called, how to collect the sample, which sample should be collected, how it should be communicated to the laboratory for the diagnosis. So all these preliminary work we started in mid December itself. So first Jan actually 5th Jan actually WHO has declared that it is a pandemic now, and it is caused by a new coronavirus which is originated from Wuhan city of China. So a lot of literature, not a lot of literature, but a very few literature was available that time through WHO, not from any other sources. So we tried to, we were quite vigilant about all the literature available, and that time WHO has posted two protocols, diagnostic protocols, which were, one is from Charité, Germany, and the other one was Hong Kong University. So we try to quickly order the reagents, primers, and because again for the respiratory viruses, the real-time RT-PCR is the test of choice because turnaround time is need to be a very quick basically. So we started working on that. We ordered the primers and probes, but unfortunately, many of the reagents are not made in India products. We have to depend on the other countries like USA or Germany for the probe, these two countries, and the enzyme systems also. So we initial phase was very much pressurized because of non-availability of the reagents basically, and how to geared up for the testing, how to supply the reagents. Like it was really a nightmare for us. But we quickly got the primers which are synthesized inside in the India. Basically, Eurofins company has provided the primers, and we quickly set our conventional PCR, not a real-time PCR, but conventional PCR. It's another type of PCR only, polymerase chain reaction. So we, I think 15th, 16th January, we were ready with our test protocol. We confirmed that because conventional PCR required further confirmation. We did that. We sequenced our product, amplified product, and we confirmed that it is amplifying the whatever desired gene of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. So that's how we were prepared, and we eventually we got the first few samples from Kerala, who were the travelers from the coming from China, and the first sample came to lab on 23rd of January. So 24th January, we tested the samples with this taste protocol. We got the results. we confirmed that, and by 29th of January, we declared first case of SARS-CoV-2 from India. So immediately in that week itself, we started working on the other viral diagnostic laboratories, which is this is a network which is developed under the DHR, Department of Health Research. And in that 13 VRDL laboratories we have chose, those are close to international borders basically, because we knew that it is going to be a disaster if we are not acting very fast, because the sample flow, and that time Vande Bharat mission, a lot of Indians are coming back, a lot of flights were deployed for that, so there will be a quite a bit number of samples coming from
Ma'am, your mic got on mute.
So NIV will not be enough to taste alone, will not be enough for the tasting. But there was another glitch in that, because every lab has to be equal to NIV. So we have to replicate NIV in all these laboratories, 13 laboratories. So we handholded them, like reagent supply was overnight, a fantastic job done by our logistic team basically. Um, we asked them to run first the positive control, whether whether the reagents are quality wise they are good, reach properly or not, to confirm that. They shared the raw data with me. Every day I used to sit 4 to 5 hours with all these laboratories to check their results, to analyze their results, to understand their problems, maybe troubleshoot sometimes, and that's how we handled it, and we come up with a team of 13 plus NIV, 14 laboratories were got ready by end of first week of February. So that's how our pandemic action plan started. Not only diagnosis, it was a continuous efforts to improve our test protocol also, because as that was a need of the time, because you know that this pandemic was testing. That was the motto for this pandemic. So we have to come up with the reagent supply, constant reagent supply, and that is why from the NIV Pune, because it has to be a quality check. As I mentioned that many a times reagents were not available from India. The reagent whatever we received from India, because that time whole world was behind these reagents, so there was a lot of shortage for all these things. The Indian make manufacturers are loaded with their jobs basically, and private sector also walked in, so they also ordered so many things. But the manufacturers didn't know that whether they are asking, the customer is asking a primer for diagnosis, or they are asking the synthetic RNA to be used as a positive control. So naturally, the Indian manufacturers caught in between, and their quality was not up to the mark. So if I give you an example, if I ordered a 20 pairs of primers, only 2 or 3 will be passed the quality. All rest will be contaminated. That was our problem, and that March till March end, we faced lot of pressure. Every day there was so many phone calls from the ministry and ICM, and so many different authorities were constantly behind us. How much you have ordered, and how much you have received, and how much was quality passed. In the initial stage, it was really difficult to convince the bureaucrats also what is the situation at the laboratories level, because they were also new to all this scenario. They didn't know the laboratory protocol, what we mean, which understand what is primer, what is probe, how it gets, how they are interconnected, all these things. Eventually we were on the same page, and but till March we were in tremendous pressure to have the reagents in place. So, and day by day, the laboratory network was increasing, expanding. That was a need also, because each and every state required the diagnostic facility in place. But after March, then we start working on basically. Meantime, the government of India take a one step ahead, that they declare that Atmanirbhar Bharat. Under that, many companies they encourage to explore the possibility of making these reagents in India. And that was the biggest challenge. Again, you can imagine, started from like raw material to come up with a kit format, and that to a quality kit reagents, it's a really a nightmare. So again, for that, we handholded many companies, we guided them what we required, how we required, what should be there, what should not be there. Even their raw material, some raw material is reagent or chemicals, but some is plasticware too. So that also we have to specify what we require, how that should be there. To educate all these manufacturer for all these things and constantly talking to them. Sometimes there is a kind of mistrust or some sort of things also we have to face, because company people didn't understand our point of view, but they thought that they are doing their best, but we wanted the things to be in a proper shape and manner. So there was a lot of kind of friction at that time, but eventually yes, they also understand that our genuinity towards the quality basically, and they give the support to develop their product. And they finally accepted that once NIV say okay, then only we'll go ahead for the production. Till that time we will not go ahead. So like that, many more companies like validation team, me and my another two scientists came to help me out, because it is not a single person's job at all, it's a team work and we believe strongly on that. So my two colleagues took care of validation. There are, you name it, and there are all these commodities are being validated at NIV. So ICMR then eventually come up with the portal. Through that, many requests came to us basically, and they also expanded this validation center from one NIV Pune to 24 other institute. But meantime, even 90% validations have been done at NIV Pune. So again, played a key role in that also. As I mentioned, that reagent supply is the biggest contribution, and till date, at least 57 lakh reactions we have supplied to all the country till September. After September, government took a decision that state government should procure their own reagents. So till that time, 57 lakhs reactions with the quality, same quality maintained, supplied to all the 1200. Meantime, 1200 plus government laboratories have been ready for the diagnosis. So that's a huge task we completed. Third was like, uh, again, the expansion of laboratory is one thing, but keeping their quality in place was another biggest task for us. So constantly handhold with them, troubleshoot them, quality check, like they have to send a sample to NIV Pune for the quality check. If their quality is 100% good, then only it will go ahead. Otherwise, they have to do the corrective actions for their testing protocol. So all these things, constant communication is the major kind of activity for me during last 9 to 10 months, I will say. So that was another role we played on a front, as a frontline worker basically. Then we also done a even quality control, I will say, for the entire Maharashtra. Not only government laboratories, but private sector laboratories are also tagged with NIV Pune for quality control. So every, now it is every quarterly, but before that it was a every monthly activity, and we have to do their quality control, give them guidelines, where they are going wrong, what needs to be taken care at their end, sorting out their problems, all that things we did during this pandemic. I was mainly worked as a expert technical member in so many committees, basically a state government committee, even in the ICMR central procurement committee. So constantly having the specification meetings, finalizing the specifications for the tendering process. After tendering, also you have to pre-bid meeting, post-bid meeting, analyze the data, then first do the quality control or validation of those approved kits, and then final order will go to these companies. So this was a continuous process. So last 6 7 months I was continuously busy with this procurement activity also for central, and then after September it is for state government also. Along with this, we also, like, it is very much important to keep an eye on the virus, whether it is going to be a same or it is changing, or what is the evolution pattern of this virus, and what is, many questions comes to us basically, ki what is happening in India, whether our virus is same as in UK or US or Brazil or South Africa or anything. So naturally we have to keep monitoring the evolutionary trend of the virus. So since January we started that activity. One team is constantly working on whole genome sequencing. We established whole genome sequencing at my place at influenza department, and then slowly we did almost right now 600 full genomes we have generated. And we showed that the our trend is not different than other countries. Whatever virus is circulating in USA or UK, the same trend is observed in our country also. So that's one thing. And now the recent is variant of concern is the most important activity. I'm getting the samples from all over the India for detection of UK variant, basically from 28th of November. That is the they declare that it's a variant of concern. So now there are many more variant of concern, basically South Africa, Brazil. So this is continuous efforts we have to put together, and to check whether we have unusual events, or whether our virus is same or it is having some concern mutations. So that's primarily activity right now we are conducting. We are not right now, we have not much into the diagnosis, but still I must say that NIV and its peripheral three units, Kerala, Bangalore, and Mumbai, we done more than 7 lakh sample testing in last ten months. But now we are NIV as such, we have moved to the genome analysis. Now we are part of this national genome project basically, and now we are concentrating more on genome analysis. So I think that's it. That's our activity during this pandemic.
Tremendous work has been done by you people, ma'am, and I must say you people are the real national heroes of Corona pandemic. Ma'am, there is one question that I want to ask, that during this pandemic, lots of people have hesitation to get exposed to this virus. Being in your team, the people working with you must have hesitation to, if they get exposed, there is no treatment for the disease. How will you ensure their safety while when you are doing all these research?
Good question. That's really a very important part, and we saw really a lot of hesitation in the initial phase of pandemic. But I'm lucky enough that I have such a good team with me, and they never a single day they didn't say that no, 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 we are not going to handle the sample. No, 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 no. What happened if we get exposed? This kind of question, because we didn't have a time to think all these things. Basically, we were so busy with entire the speed of that this pandemic is tremendous. So fortunately my team members uh, didn't comply about that, but yes, we took a good care of our staff basically, because that is your wealth. If they are fit and fine, then only you can keep the show on. Otherwise it is really a difficult task. You cannot borrow people from outside or other department. Yes, they will come 2 days, like they will be like a mehman, 2 days mehman. Otherwise it is your own ghar ka mamla hai. So you have to keep your staff very healthy, happy. So that is, physical strength is really really important. So we make sure that whenever the person is free, bit free, he can have a stretch exercise sitting on a chair, or he can just go down in a garden area. He just had a 5 6 7 rounds, just get a fresh air, come back, fresh mind, again start working. We worked in the three shifts, so that also we kind of rotation wise job responsibilities also keep changing. So it was not a monotonous kind of activity. So people didn't hesitate to do that also. We also took care very logistic support were provided during the lockdown, especially lockdown was the very tough time. So logistic support like guest house was made available to rest, to take the rest, or maybe in the night shift people can stay over there. We arrange the healthy food for them, not a oily or not a very spicy food. That was a special instructions were given to canteen personnel. So in all, like motivation, keep motivating him. Our director is quite enthusiastic in all these aspects. He constantly keep talking to my lab mates and encouraging them that how best they are working, and giving them bit kind of a word of appreciation. So that makes the thing quite smooth sailing. Actually, the show went very smoothly, I will say. Even for the staff, as you said correctly, how we keep our entire premises free of COVID or whatever it is, like working environment. So we practiced at least once in a week. We tested all the staff samples. That is our must. We, and that's how we can, early detection was there. We can segregate that person, we can quarantine that person, keep minimum kind of contacts. That we were very vigilant about all these things. So till date also we are testing our sample every week. We have to test our sample, and in addition to that, if person is on leave or going out, like out of the city, then also we first check the sample for the SARS-CoV-2. If it is negative, then only the person will join the duty. So that small things we have taken care basically, and that give us basically, and even people were also quite assured that no, something, if something is happened, then if person is positive, then we guided them to go to the COVID center. And even we had a good kind of I will say collaboration or understanding with the private hospitals. We had a quite a good even we did a MOU with the command hospital that if in case any emergency occurs, we should get a priority bed available in the hospital. So that from our side as a management, we did this lot of things, constantly talking to the staff to keep them, to give them comfort. That makes really a kind of situation easy.
It's really good to know that you have taken such major initiatives and measures to keep your staff and keep your team members safe during the project,
Yes,
because they are the backbone of the whole
absolutely.
work. So, ma'am, there is some. It's a small personal question that how you must have faced many challenges maintaining the balance between your personal life and your working life during that time. But when it's lots of pressure, lots of samples are coming during this uh, February to June, July months. So, how you face those challenges? How you overcome those challenges?
So, as you said that we are really a health warriors. So warriors means no home front is right now in our mind. And that's true, really true. Since last January, I used to go home in midnight, or sometimes I stayed in guest house also. Long hours, I will say 16, 17 hours working hours basically. Though the technical staff works in a shift duties, but as a management we have to be there. And myself and other two colleagues from my like scientific colleagues of mine, we handle, three of us handle the situation. Like sample flow, it was a tremendous pressure from the local authorities, I will say. Every day they were increase the quota, like it was a quota system, I will say. Like every day, okay, today you are doing 100,000 samples, no, 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 you must do 1,500 samples. Like a national laboratory, how can you do only 1,000 samples? So they push us to the kind of core, I will say. So in June, July, maximum number per day we received were 2000, 2500, 2700, and the highest number was 3200. So that was in a one day. Testing is really a hectic job, but we came out from that situation also. So my job was primarily to convince the local authority that not to burden so much to the lab. It is not possible beyond certain number. It is really not possible. It's a hectic activity, though we have a 3 shift working in the lab, but there are limitations. That much time we have to give. The people are now tired. They are there is a fatigue now. They need require the rest. We were working 24/7. There was no lab was not shut down on Saturdays or Sundays, nothing. So naturally it is a tremendous load on this laboratory people. So after August, 15th August onwards, we then convinced the local authority, state authority, that please allow us to take a Sunday holiday because our machine required rest. Not human beings, but machine requires a rest. Because the machine started count off very soon because it's a continuous activity. I said that is not going to help us basically, and we cannot overnight, we cannot buy new machine also. There are a lot of challenges for that. So we finally convinced the uh, local government authorities that now please excuse us on Sundays. We will not work on Sunday. That is for our maintenance break. And indirectly it was our personal maintenance break also, and for the machine also. So that's the thing. And at home front, I must say that my family is very supportive. We like, as I said, I was maximum time like I was in the lab itself, but my husband managed whole home front, so there was no much like hassle for me. I like, it's like free of mind. I can work here continuously for so many hours.
That's really very nice, ma'am. Now, what is your message for the preservance of women frontline warriors fighting to save the family, the society, and the humankind?
I feel that being a woman, you are blessed. Actually, you have an innate strength. It's a tremendous strength. You just want to explore that, nothing more. It's there. You have to just explore that. Try to dare to see the dreams basically and pursue them. That's the second message I will give. Uh, by by nature also women are like strong. They can do multitasking. So many things, so many complex things women can handle very easily. So I don't think that it is impossible for women to be in any field. Just she needs to be kind of herself convinced that yes, I can do that.
So, ma'am, you scientists have shared over the past years the challenges of working in the lab, working from home, and in the field. I'm sure you have your share of challenges also. So, would you like to share some of those challenges and how you overcome from these challenges?
Challenges in the sense that initial phase, like there was you need to be, though you are established scientist in your own field, but still there was a lot of mistrust in the initial phase because everybody was judging you kind of thing. That was the biggest challenge for me, like right from my senior officers from ICMR, you can say, or from the director office, or so many. Like it is always like whether I will able to perform, whether I will do my job best or not. That was a uncertainty because situation was like that. It was not anybody's fault, but everybody was not uh, convinced, or that confidence was not there. But slowly when I even from as I said that I used to get a call from so many officers from headquarter and ministry. God knows, like no names are not there, but I used to talk to so many people. So they were like, till that time they got a confidence on me that yes, I can do that. I'm telling what is the fact which is I'm telling them, they accepted, and then the trust started building. So that period was really a challenging for me also, because I have to it was a like kashmakash between me itself, basically within me itself. I have to prove myself. Though I am 30 years, I have served in the department, but still this time I have to prove myself again. That was the major challenge for me also.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving time to us from your occupied schedule. At the end, if you have any message for all the young scientists and women researchers out there.
So I will just say that just believe on yourself, pursue your dreams without any, no matter what is the situation outside, but you will succeed if you follow your mind and heart too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
It's really an honor for all of us to, especially for Vigyan Prasad, to have you on our platform. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.